An oyster costs $3 to $5 at a restaurant. A dozen runs $30 to $60. In 1850, you could eat all you wanted in New York City for 6 cents. Oyster carts lined every street. Cellars served them fried, stewed, pickled raw. The poorest New Yorkers survived on them. 1 million consumed in the city every day. New York Harbor held nearly half the world's oyster population, 350 square miles of reef. Then, in less than a century, they were gone. Every bed closed by 1927. How do you grow an oyster today? What destroyed the largest oyster population on Earth, and what is happening right now in the harbor that could reverse it? When Henry Hudson sailed into the harbor in 1609, he entered one of the richest marine environments on Earth. 350 square miles of oyster reefs stretched across the estuary. Nearly half the global oyster population lived in the waters around what is now New York City. The Lenape people had been eating them for thousands of years, wrapping them in seaweed and tossing them on a fire. The Dutch named the waterfront Pearl Street and paved it with discarded shells. Ellis Island and Liberty Island were originally called Little Oyster Island and Great Oyster Island. Trinity Church was built with mortar ground from oyster shells. The city was literally constructed out of the thing it ate. By the 1800s, oysters were everywhere. Street carts sold them fried for 6 cents a dozen. Cellars advertised every style: raw, stewed, pickled, roasted. A former slave named Thomas Downing opened a cellar on Broad Street with chandeliers and white tablecloths and turned a 6-cent street food into Manhattan's most famous restaurant. Rich and poor ate the same animal. The only difference was the room. One food historian wrote that even the very poorest New Yorkers had no other substance than oysters and bread. The city consumed roughly 1 million per day. No other food in American history has been eaten at that scale by every class simultaneously, and no one imagined it could end. An oyster begins as one of millions of larvae released by a single female, each invisible to the eye. It swims freely for 2 to 3 weeks, searching for something hard to attach to. In the wild, most never find it. In a hatchery, the odds are controlled. Broodstock oysters spawn in warm water, and larvae are given recycled shells as substrate. When a larva cements itself, it becomes spat, a baby oyster smaller than a fingernail. Spat grow in upwelling nursery tanks. Constant water flow brings phytoplankton in and carries waste out. The tanks run around the clock. After weeks, they move to grow-out sites, mesh cages, or bags suspended in bays and estuaries. The oysters feed by filtering seawater through their bodies. An adult filters up to 50 gallons per day. It draws water and extracts phytoplankton and removes nitrogen sediment and bacteria in the process. The oyster is not just eating, it is cleaning the water it lives in. Cages are tumbled periodically to break the shell edges. The oyster responds by building a deeper cup, which produces plumper meat and a rounder, more uniform shape. This is why farmed oysters look smooth while wild ones grow jagged and irregular. The tumbling is deliberate stress that creates a better product. 2 to 4 years from spawn to market. Each oyster hand-sorted and graded by size and cup depth, shipped alive on ice. An oyster must be alive when eaten raw. A dead oyster is dangerous. 2 to 4 years per oyster. Hatcheries, nurseries, cages, tumbling, hand sorting. New York once harvested over 1 billion per year from its own harbor. No hatcheries, no cages. They just grew. By 1927, every bed was closed. The harbor that held half the world's oysters had none. And every oyster that grew in those reefs tasted different depending on where in the harbor it sat. Same species, different water, completely different flavor, salinity, mineral content, temperature, the algae the oyster ate. Farmers today call it merroir, like terroir for wine, but shaped by ocean instead of soil. 350 square miles of reef meant 350 square miles of flavor that no longer exists. 3 forces killed them. Overharvesting first. New Yorkers ate them faster than they reproduced. By the early 1900s, over 1 billion per year were extracted. No limits, no management. Then pollution. The city dumped millions of gallons of raw sewage into the harbor. Oysters filter water, so they concentrated the toxins. In 1921, the health department closed Jamaica Bay 80 million oysters per year because of typhoid. Then, the shoreline disappeared. Manhattan grew 20% through landfill. Marshy shallows the habitat oysters need buried under concrete. The city ate its oysters, poisoned the water, and paved the ground they lived on. By the early 1900s, New York was pulling over 1 billion oysters per year from its harbor. The shells were not waste, they were infrastructure, crushed into mortar for walls, burned for lime, used as fill for roads. The same organism fed the population, filtered the water, and built the city. Thomas Downing, a former slave, built one of the largest fortunes on Wall Street by elevating a 6-cent street food into fine dining. The product was identical. The room was different. Caviar did the same thing a generation later. Free bar snack in the 1880s, hundreds of dollars a pound by the 20th century. Lobster went from prison rations to prix fixe. Every luxury food on a modern menu was once ordinary. The only thing that changed was supply. The oysters are coming back, but not to eat. In 2014, the Billion Oyster Project set a goal of restoring 1 billion oysters to New York Harbor by 2035. As of late 2025, over 150 million have been placed. 17 acres of reef across all 5 boroughs. 80 restaurants recycle shells, 2 million pounds collected. Students from over 100 schools raise baby oysters as part of their science curriculum. The harbor is still too contaminated to harvest. The oysters are there to clean the water. The original reefs filtered the entire harbor every 3 days. That filtration is gone. And after Hurricane Sandy, engineers realized the reefs that once softened storm surges had been eaten and buried. The project is not restoring a food source. It is rebuilding storm protection out of living organisms. Somewhere in the Bronx right now at a waterfront, most New Yorkers have never visited a concrete ball covered in baby oysters sits on the harbor floor. Each one smaller than a thumbnail, each one filtering water. In 2 years, they will be the size of a palm. In 5 years, the reef around them will hold crabs and shrimp and dozens of fish species that have not lived in those waters in a century. In 1800s, New York the oyster was everything. Currency for the poor, status for the rich, building material for the streets, the organism that kept the harbor clean. Then the city ate, everyone poisoned the water, and paved the ground. A century later, it is trying to put them back. Not to serve on a plate with mignonette and lemon. To filter the harbor, to break the waves, to rebuild what concrete alone cannot replace. The oyster did not become a luxury because it got better. It became a luxury because it got rare. And rarity was not nature's decision, it was ours. 1 million a day. 6 cents a dozen. Gone in a century. New York Harbor once had more oyster reefs than anywhere on Earth. They filtered the harbor every 3 days. Now the city is putting them back. 1 billion at a time. That's the process. We reveal how things actually work one story at a time. Until then, trust the process.